going to go ahead and get everyone checked in. Looks like we have a Hayes Shaughnessy, maybe. If you could, sir, if you could unmute, give me your full name and tell me who you're representing here today.
Yes, hi. Hey, Shaughnessy, can you hear me?
I can, yeah. Welcome.
Hey, Shaughnessy, I'm here for Baymiller Workshop, LLC.
All right. Welcome.
Thank you.
I have someone under Marcus G.
Yes, I'm City Link Center.
Gotcha. And Marcus, could you give me your last name, please?
This is Gibson, Gibson.
All right. And could you tell me again what's the organization you're with?
This is City Link Center. We're actually right on Central, and we also got Central and also got Bank Street.
Got it. Okay. Mr. Gibson, do you plan on providing any testimony here today, or are you just here to observe?
Just here to observe, really see what's going on.
Okay, great. If you do want to provide testimony at any point, you're welcome to, but I'll just ask you to activate your camera at that time. You don't have to until the point where you're testifying. That's completely up to you.
Okay, sure.
I just like to give people a heads up.
Awesome.
All right, welcome. I see we have Wes Menzel, the zoning plans examiner for the city of Cincinnati. Wes, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Not bad. Okay. Mr. Shaughnessy, are you expecting anyone else to join us here today on the applicant owner side of this project?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, great. I need to run through our hearing script, which will just basically cover the procedure for the hearing, and then we will jump right into it. So this is the March 29th, 2023 session of the zoning hearing examiner docket. The case before us today is case number ZH20230023. That's 2116 Baymiller Street. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and any potential opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. If anyone from the public wants to speak, they'll have an opportunity to speak after the applicant has presented its case. I will give the zoning plans examiner Wes Menzel an opportunity to provide any testimony in addition to a staff report. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to respond to that testimony offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony, which is generally testimony you'd like to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who's not present at this hearing here today. In the event of any technical difficulties with the video conferencing technology, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those on the fly. But to the extent there's some defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with this hearing, I may postpone or continue the hearing at my discretion. Okay, I just need to get everyone sworn in who intends on testifying here today. So if you are going to provide any testimony, ask any questions, have any comments, do anything other than just strictly observe. The zoning code requires that I swear you in. Mr. Gibson, if you decide you want to say something later on, I can always swear you in later. So for Mr. Shaughnessy and Mr. Menzel, I need you to raise your right hand and answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great, fantastic. Mr. Shaughnessy, are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Floor is yours.
So I am requesting a zoning variance for the rear setback at 2116 Baymiller Street. The current zoning, I believe, is required for a 10-foot setback. However, the building that I just removed that was at 2116 had a 0-foot setback. That was a walk-in cooler structure that has subsequently been demolished, but my plan is to rebuild a structure on that existing lot, and I would like to build it back to what was that near to 0-foot setback, probably a couple feet less than, but I'd like to get the full setback. If you look at the other structures that are in line, the neighboring properties going up and down Baymiller Street, those all have a 0-foot setback as built and as standing. So that's what I'm interested in.
Gotcha. Okay, so just to be clear, there was an existing building here that you have recently torn down?
Correct.
Okay. And you are proposing now to put a new building in its place that has roughly the same setbacks as the previous building?
That's right.
Okay. Is it the exact same footprint as the previous building?
It will actually be a little narrower, which would affect the setback in width rather than length. And I suspect it will actually be a little shorter just in order to build and facilitate maintenance. So if it was a 0-foot setback, it may be 2.5 feet at the rear and the same thing on the side.
Gotcha. Okay. And are you putting in a workshop here? Is that right?
Correct. This is so the idea is to in fact build an addition onto 2114, which is the neighboring property, which I also own, and connect the two properties as to one. So one side will be sort of storage and the other side will be a workshop. Yes.
Okay. What kind of workshop is it?
I do woodworking.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. Anything else you wanted to share right now about the proposal or the project?
I think that's all I need for now.
Okay, great. Wes, anything you wanted to add in addition to your staff report?
No, except I will just clarify that when I did my initial review with them a few months ago, I missed the front setback variance analysis. So I added that into the report. So they need a small front setback variance, although it sounds like they're building the building in pretty much the same spot as before. So
yeah, so the code requires that they build the property to the lot line in the front. Is that right?
right. And I
And
missed
that they have a 10-foot rear setback in the back.
right.
Gotcha. But the old property and this property is now proposing the front will be set back 5 feet from the actual property line.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
And I think that's similar to what was there before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it looks like from the images I see in Cages and Google Maps. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But anything else, Wes?
No.
Okay. All right. Marcus, anything you wanted to say? I'll give you a chance here if you'd like.
No. Is it going to be? I guess if it's the same square footprint, I think we should be okay.
Okay. Great. Thanks. Thanks, Mr. Gibson. Appreciate it. Okay. I don't think I have any other questions. Yeah, I don't have any other questions. Anything you'd like to say, Mr. Shaughnessy, in closing or otherwise here before we adjourn?
Yeah, would you mind just clarifying a little bit about that front setback, just so I'm understand that entirely?
Yeah, sure. So the required front setback for the property is 0 feet, meaning that the zoning code requires the buildings be built right up to the lot line. So, I think 2114, based on what I'm looking at here, I think that's built to the lot line, and the building 2124 is built right up to the sidewalk. That's what the code requires for this district. And your plans show that it will be set about 5 feet back from being as close as those other buildings. And so that actually requires a variance as well. So there's that, and then the rear setback variance as well.
So can that be addressed within this while we're talking now, or does it have to be started all over again for the front?
It can and it will be addressed right now. Is there anything you want to say about that? I
just want to make clear that I am interested in building the building essentially at that 5 foot, plus or minus. There's an existing slab I'd like to reuse, and there is a little bit of a grade change. So if I had to come forward, that would change the plan significantly. So if I could maintain that existing setback, which is about, we'll call it 5 feet for the sake of argument, that'd be great. So if we can include that variance within this for the front setback as well as the rear, let's just make sure that's on the record.
It's on the record. It's included in the revised version of Wes Menzel's staff report, and it's something that, as I've looked through the application materials, I've considered and will be a part of the ultimate decision here.
Excellent.
Yeah. Anything else, Mr. Shaughnessy, that you want to say about the project or anything else?
This is just a general question. You mentioned a decision is typically rendered within 2 weeks. Is that something that just gets a letter sent or an email or a phone call, or how does that typically work?
Sure. So sort of comes in two pieces. I'll do the first now. I've had a chance to review the application materials, the staff report. I'm familiar with the area. Based on that, based on the testimony I've heard here today, I'm going to approve the application. I need to, step two is I need to formalize that approval in a written decision. That is typically what takes a little bit longer based on the queue of other zoning hearings and requests I've gone through. And so as soon as I finish that decision, and that will list sort of all the reasoning and the standards and sort of all the legalese. And then that will also list the exact approvals for the front and the rear setbacks. As soon as I finish that, I put it into a PDF and I email it to everybody who's in the hearing here today. So you all have a copy of it really just moments after it's complete. Mr. Shaughnessy, as soon as you have a copy of that PDF, you can work with Wes to move forward on the zoning, the actual zoning permit approval.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. Any questions about any of that or anything else?
Don't think so.
Okay,
David?
fantastic. Yeah, sure.
I just want to add that, like, when you submit your building permit, I'll reference this zoning case in my approval for the zoning component of the building permit. So hopefully you'll be submitting, fairly soon on that, as soon as David makes his decision, the written decision. So thanks.
But he can,
Great.
if he hasn't already, he can start that process now, right, Wes?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, you could submit your building permit now, and then that would start the review of the other departments that review it, and I would approve it as soon as I get David's decision.
I see. I'm
Yeah.
working on plan. That should be pretty soon.
Okay. Yeah. That'll just get the process started, and then it would get held up until Wes can actually tick off the zoning, but it's still, might save you a week or so if you start it now.
Okay,
And get
great.
it in. Yeah. All right. Well, if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to myself. I'm sure Wes will be happy to answer questions as well. Or if you just want a status update on where I'm at with the decision, like I said, 2 weeks is just about right. I usually get it within that. But if you want just a status update, I'm happy to provide that to you.
Okay, great.
Okay, fantastic.
We're not changing the zoning. We just okay. Just want to make sure.
Yep, zoning staying the same. The zoning on this is still urban mix. All
Okay.
the standards for all the surrounding properties are exactly the same, and the standards are still the same for this property, except I'm just granting this limited exception for the rear setback and the front setback, and it's 10 feet on the rear setback and 5 feet on the front setback to match that previous building.
Okay.
Yeah, and Mr. Gibson, that goes for you too. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks everybody. Have a great
Thanks, everyone.
day. Good luck with the project, Mr. Shaughnessy.
Thanks a lot.